Pleasant good morning, one and all. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the midweek episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome, one and all. Today, May the 1st, 2024. Happy May Day, one and all. Happy May Day, Labor Day, as we call it. So welcome to this midweek's episode. And we normally say it's good to be on the program. And as you come on, we encourage you to share the live, let people know that you're on. Many persons might be sleeping in a little late this morning because today is a public holiday in Guyana. So welcome. Share the live. Let people know that you're on this Labor Day. Even though it's Labor Day, we are going to work. We are working today. We are going to bring you the news. We're going to bring you the information that you so want to hear. So today's classes, we are going to have classes today, May the 1st, 2024. And again, we have so much to talk about, so much that I'm sure you'll be kept in your seats. So as Shad was saying, get your Cokes and your popcorn and stand by for all the information that we have to share. It was so good to see so many students, all you loyal students in the schoolyard. Once the program was scheduled just after 8 this morning, one man even messaged me to find out what time the school gate will be open. So I had to tell him, we're just about opening the school gate. And as soon as the gate was open, the yard was flooded with students waiting for the information. And when we went live a few minutes ago, the ones on Facebook are flooded in. So share the live, let them know that we're on. As we tell you when you come down, gives us a thumbs up, show your appreciation for the hard work we do to research, get the facts, and to bring it to you. And we say we do research, we get the facts and so on because we know what is going on. People are going to sit there to try to discredit us. So far, they have not been able to do so, and we're not going to give them the opportunity to do so because we make sure we do the research and we bring you facts. And we challenge them, again, as we have done on previous occasions, to dispute anything that we say on this program. We bring you facts on this program, and anything these people want to dispute, whether it's the police or the government or anyone else, let them come and dispute it. Let them bring something to counter what we are saying. They have not been able to do so yet, and we're not going to give them the opportunity to do so. So even when they send out the trolls and they send out the thing and all of them, we know how to deal with it because we come to you with credible information. We are not going to put our credibility on the line to just come and to say things that cannot be verified, that cannot be substantiated. A lot of information come to our attention, lots and lots of information. But when we come and we tell you it on the program, because we have been able to verify the authenticity of the information. So yeah, happy Labor Day again, May Day, Labor Day, 1st of May. When you are working, especially with the government, May month is always a nice month because you have 3 holidays, if I recall well, in May. May 1, Labor Day, then May 5th used to be Arrival Day, used to be Indian Arrival, then it was changed to Arrival Day, and then the 26th of May, the Independence Day. So you look forward to those 3 holidays in May. So welcome, welcome. Whatever you're doing today, if you're home relaxing, if you're out to go on the Labor Day march, as some people will do, make sure that you're safe. And make sure, as we say, you appreciate the fact that that this is the day that the Lord has made. You should rejoice and be glad in it. And be appreciative of the fact that you are in the land of the living. Many persons would not have been this fortunate. My colleague, Mr. Conway, CC, as he's familiarly referred to, is in the studio, rearing to go. He's ready and rearing to go. And as the normal scheme of thing we will do after this brief introduction, giving people the opportunity to come on, those who are here a few minutes late, we're going to do the roll call. After the roll call, we're going to make the announcements, and then we're going to go into the program. As I've said, when the program was scheduled this morning, just after 8, the student poured in to the schoolyard. And once we went live at 11, then those on Facebook were able to join us on the live. And again, I say to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. A lot of people still have not done so. Even some of you on this live have not subscribed to the channel on YouTube. Neither have you liked the page on Facebook. Do so. Subscribe and like. Subscribe and like. We're not begging for popularity. We are popular as it is. But when you do that, you increase the viewership of the program. And every day, as I've said, every day, the numbers are staggering on the live. And then by the end of the day, to see those who would have looked on YouTube, sorry, thousands of persons, thousands. And we understand that in some offices, some organizations, they actually ban you. They tell you must listen to Slow and Conway. And but people find a way because it is interesting. Even the ranks in the force will tell you the things that we talk about in this program. These things are not discussed in the force. The educational things are not discussed. So they look forward to this program for enlightenment, and will continue to do so. Someone reported to me a few weeks ago that a particular minister went into the Sapphire area, and he was telling people they should not be looking at Slow, and he called to Slow and Conway's program, and he called some other program that they should not look. And then he threatened, he said, we monitor these things, and we're going to know when you look. And if you look, you're not going to get any benefits, all these hands out and the hands out and so on, you will not get. There's a minister of the government, this is alleged, went around Sapphire about 2 weeks ago and did that. So this thing is getting under the skin. The truth is what is bothering them. The truth is what is bothering them. So we will continue to tell the truth. And we continue to say, if you are offended by the truth, then that is not on us, that is on you. If the truth is going to offend you, then we have no problem with that. Offend as much as you want, because the truth will remain the truth. The facts, as Uncle Fraser, former commissioner, will say, facts are stubborn things. They don't go any place, and that is what we are dealing with, facts. Well, let me do the roll call. As we say again, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it, and let's celebrate being in the land of the living. We're going to do the roll call quickly, and then we are going to go into the body of the program. The first person who was on this morning when we scheduled the program was Kenneth. Kenneth from Maryland. He came on at 8:22. The program was scheduled, I think, about 8:21. He came on at 8:22, followed by Fergus, then Joan, Felicia, my friend Paul all the way from Canada, Floyd, Tessa from Florida, Ether is here again, Winston, and this is, there are several Winston, so this is Winston Collins, he's in the schoolyard. After he was suspended, you must explain to us who suspended you, man. Explain. Then Lucius was here. Raul came in next. Isabella, Debbie, Denise, and this is Denise Moore. Sean from Midtown Manhattan is always here, ex-sergeant. Then we have Isabella, Lynette, Barlett, the man from the hills in Linden. Barlett is very much here, very dedicated student. Carlisle, and Carlisle is saying that the 3rd of May is his birthday. So advanced birthday greetings to you, student, my friend. Vibart is here. Princess from Lamar Springs is in the house. 6123 was our police number. J.K. is very much here as well. Chatty, Wayne from the UK, Everett from Texas, and Glendis, Queenie. These are people who don't miss. Anthony from Peters Hall and the East Bank. Another UK student, Winston, is in the class. Mary, Doreen, my squad mate from Canada, is here. Courtney, Saul, Brian, Saul, Brendan is here. Maureen, Evelyn, the man from Melanie Damashana, Francis, the lady from West Dem, Pamela. Then we have Joseph, and all the way from Canada, Gordon. Terry is here. Terry lives in Lamar Springs, Old Police. I think his number is 9933. Malcolm is here in the house. Carlton, my squad mate, 9430. Como from New Jersey, his number was 8218. Then we have Ezzy is in the house. He's in the schoolyard, he says. Then Winston is from California. Wilson is here. Tallulah, and he says he's in Brooklyn. A wonderful day. He says a good day in Brooklyn. Bart is here. The one and only BX, Charles Goodman, is in the house. Roderick is here very much. Ulrich from Crane Housing Scheme is in the house. Earl, Wayne, Colin from Queens. Colin, it was nice seeing you the other day. Patricia from New Jersey is here. Marcus. Then we have Jay Shetred. He always describing himself in some fancy terms here. Then I can't recall seeing this student before. Inferno Boss is here. Clive from the UK is in the house. Kerry, Kerry, good to see you the other day too. And Kerry from Baltimore. Walterine is in the house. Keelan, Anthony, Patricia. She just slip us on the ground for the May Day parade today. Yes, the teachers are going to be out, I'm sure. Emerson, Gaston, my squad mate, 9556 from Victoria, British Columbia. Rhonda, and this is Rhonda Chance. There are several Rhondas that come in the program. Another squad mate of mine, Carl, 9414. He's from Arizona. Morton is in the house. Vibart, the man from the East Bank, is here. Ulrich, my next squad mate, 9555, is in the house. Pito was is from Queens, 8152. O'Neill is here. Magnell, Barbara. Then we have TK from California, 9135 is in the house. Jacko from Georgia. Then Michael from the British Virgin Islands, I think it is. Then we have Marcus, Camille, Aubrey. I know Aubrey's a squad mate of CC 9053 was his number. Family Music, Bonita from West Coast Barbies, Michael, Ronald, Pauline, Philip, Karen, this is the next Karen. Then we have Terrence from Canada, 9795 was his number. Roy from Schenectady, upstate. Rastaman is here. The one and only Selwyn, attorney from Canada, is in the house. Welcome, Selwyn. Original Black Man, Dylan, is here. And that is Dylan Frank. And Josiah. Gail is in the house. Leon. Leon, I think you had a birthday recently, so belated birthday greetings to you, my brother. We also have Tia Ben, 1, 2, 3. Jean. Wayne. Junior. Stephen. Colin. Colin is here. And then we have Clifton. Clifton all the way from Paris. Orville. Terence, and Terence is from Long Island. He's watching from Long Island. Vivian. Clarence. Denise. Fort Welly. Delta 9 Media. Desiree. Shemlin. Sharon, and Sharon is from the UK. Thomas. Anka Paul. Ingrid. Marcia. Vernon. Chilo is here. Orin. And Orin was the last man on YouTube before we went live. When we went live, the first person on Facebook, we had Simone, then we had Joan, Edward, Lynette from Barbados, and the list goes on and on and on. Again, we do this to let you know that when we say we have all these students in the classroom, we are not bluffing anybody. It is a fact that all these students are in the classroom. So that is the roll call. Let me quickly do the announcements. And we say we like to announce, we announce first the persons who may have passed. And today we wish to announce the passing of let me bring the passing of Mrs. Lillian Booker Headley. She was the mother of Denise, who is on the program here now, Denise Booker. Our mother passed. Information is that she died on April the 25th, and she was 101 years old, born on the 18th of August 1922. 101. So she made the century. Denise, I want to express condolences to you on behalf of all the students and all the persons who are on the live and those who will be looking later. I'm sure Mr. Conway will do so for himself. But Denise, all the best, my dear. And cheer up, cheer up. Your mother, I'm sure, lived a very good life. And the good Lord has decided it is time for her to go and be in his arms. So you should be comforted by that. So deepest condolences to you. And in terms of the other announcements, I want to announce I said Leon, who's on the live, Leon Gibbons, recently celebrated a birth anniversary. So too did Sergeant Linden Allen James, old TSU man, Linden Allen James. I think this was yesterday. And also, if for the older police will remember, retired Sergeant Claude Robero. His number was 11366 Robero, old F Division man. He celebrated a birthday yesterday, I think it was as well. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate retired, I could say so now, retired Deputy Commissioner Dr. Paul Williams. Today being May 1st is his first day as a full civilian. In the system, you go on pre-retirement leave. He was on pre-retirement leave, which ended yesterday. So from today, he has joined us on the bench of those who have retired. My brother, retirement is a wonderful thing, especially when you qualify yourself and you are prepared for it. Many people are afraid to go into retirement at the mandatory age of 55 in Guyana because they have made no preparations in terms of qualifying themselves to go into, to make themselves that second phase of their life, or that other phase, the third phase most likely. Because you have a phase before you join, then when you join, and then when you retire. Retirement is a good thing. Once you prepare yourself for it, you have no fear. And that is what a lot of people are fearful of. They did not operate as if they would have ever been a civilian again. They say once a police, twice a civilian, So Paul, welcome to the retirement, proper retirement club. And with your qualification, your experience, I'm sure you are going to do well in whatever area you choose to do now. Now, let me bring in Mr. Conway, my colleague, and then we're going to go on. CC, welcome.
Morning. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. My sympathy to Denise on the passing of her mother. She should be happy that her mother passed. Mother sent, scored a very good century. May her soul rest in peace. And to my very good friend, my buddy, my partner, Dr. Paul Williams, retired Deputy Commissioner of Police. Welcome to the retirees bench. And I know that you qualify yourself. I remember when they had sent you to that CDC place, I told you use the opportunity to develop yourself, to make yourself marketable. And I think you're very, very marketable, and congratulations, you retired as a deputy commissioner of police. And understand, I just get a note that Superintendent Stanley, to I see Bobby, I think he celebrated his birthday yesterday. Somebody just sent a note to me. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to all those persons who celebrated their birth anniversary.
Congratulations to all of those celebrants, and we wish you happiness, a long life, prosperity. Now, to move on, the first subject that we want to deal with, last week, not I said last week, but Monday when we ended, I told you that there was this disturbing video circulating on social media where policemen are seen assaulted. And here, let me say this, I'm not going to use the word alleged. It is not alleged because it is something that we saw. We saw the circumstances which led to that might not be very clear. But I'm referring to this video of the police assaulting this businessman in Linden. And according to the release, let me read, there are several releases, but to give you the full gist of what took place, I'm going to read a report as carried by News Source. And I told you all, News Source I find News Source to be very credible. So I will read what News Source said, and this is an article News Source at April 28, 2024. The Ghana Police Force Office of Professional Responsibility has launched an investigation into an incident in the town of Linden involving a popular businessman, Hilton Lyle, and a group of policemen in the compound of the Mackenzie police station. In a video recording of the incident, the businessman could be seen on the ground inside of the compound of the Mackenzie police station, surrounded by police officers who were kicking and punching him. The businessman eventually regained his footing and could be seen pointing at a specific officer, while another officer was holding him back. In a statement, the Ghana Police Force said the businessman had attacked a police officer first, after being ordered out of the station. The police force said that the policeman's colleagues rushed to his aid when he was attacked. And the quoting here to say, he was asked to leave the station, and it is alleged that while leaving, he assaulted one of the police rank, causing other ranks present to come to his aid, the police statement said. It was explained by the police force that the businessman was at the station to check on his DJ, who had been detained by the police for refusing to turn off his sound system at the businessman's Tropical Reflections bar early this morning. That's the morning of the 28th. The businessman was ordered out of the station and reportedly got into an argument that led to the attack as he was leaving. The police force said that the businessman was eventually arrested and after the incident, but both the businessman and the DJ were released in bail. The video recording of the incident is to form part of the investigation by the Office of Professional Responsibility. I think there are a lot of other stuff that is being said, but I think you get an idea as to what took place. It is alleged that the businessman, Lyle, his DJ, was ordered to turn off the music at the Five Corner in Linden. Let's say this is around 7 o'clock the morning of the 28th. The DJ refused, it is alleged. He was arrested and taken to the station. The businessman went to the station apparently to inquire about the DJ. And according to what the police said, he was ordered out of the station. And the information is that some argument it is alleged that during that process, he assaulted the policeman, and the colleagues of the policeman who were there went to his assistance. And well, let me say this before I go any further. I have looked at the tape several times. No one knows the tape did not show what transpired before, but based on what is seen on this tape, I am saying that regardless of what transpired before, the actions of the police at that time, as shown on the tape, could not be justified. Let me repeat that. Regardless of what transpired, they're alleging that this man assaulted the police, and this policeman went to the assistance of their colleagues, and that is the thing that we saw on the tape. But I'm saying that to see a member of the public on the ground and at least one policeman kicking him, that cannot be justified. That cannot be justified. And then there is something to say. There's a release, I think it was yesterday too. Let me read this to you to give some more clarity. And this is: the police who was caught on camera assaulting Linden businessman Hilton Lyle is currently under close arrest as the police office of professional responsibility today commenced its investigation into the incident. The incident, which was caught on camera and went viral on social media, depicts several police ranks assaulting the man while he was on the ground in the police station. And then there's some facts. You understand that the incident occurred shortly after fans started leaving, blah, 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 they go on. But this has said the same thing. The investigation is being done, and some allegations are made in this release, which I'm not going to go into because they're ascribing a motive for trying to stop the music at Five Corner. People have even gone on to say that the businessman has had previous run-ins with the police. But I'm saying, regardless of what run-ins he might have had, what is shown on the tape is difficult, or well, not difficult. You cannot justify that. You cannot. And let me go, before I bring in Mr. Conway, Member of Parliament, Mr. Jarmian Figuera, has a letter in today's Stabrook News, which I'm going to read to you before I bring in my colleague. It is captioned: the police brutality against Linden businessman must be independently probed. This letter from Mr. Figuera says, as Linden celebrates its anniversary tongue week, the recent emergence of a viral video depicting the violent treatment of a young popular businessman by several police officers within the Mackenzie police station compound is not only disturbing, but also serves as a stark reminder of the critical issues plaguing law enforcement agencies worldwide. This egregious display of police brutality not only violates established protocols and standards of conduct, but also erodes the fundamental trust between the police and the community they serve. In response to this alarming incident, it is imperative for me to advocate for an independent investigation to be conducted. Punitive actions should be administered if the policemen are found guilty, and comprehensive measures be instituted to rebuild and reinforce trust between the police and the community. First and foremost, the action depicted in the viral video blatantly disregards the principles of law enforcement and the inherent rights of individuals in custody. The undeniable use of excessive force, including kicking, stamping, and cuffing, is not only unjustifiable, but also represents a flagrant abuse of power. Such behavior undermines the credibility and legitimacy of the entire police force, tarnishes its reputation, and alienates the very community it is meant to protect and serve. It is in this regard I reiterate the call for an independent investigation to be initiated promptly to uncover the truth behind the incident and to hold those responsible fully accountable for the actions. Moreover, the outcome of the investigation must not be influenced by internal biases or conflict of interest within the police force. An independent oversight body comprising impartial experts and, if possible, community representatives should be tasked with conducting a thorough and transparent inquiry into this matter. This external security is essential to ensure the integrity and credibility of the investigative process, as well as to demonstrate a genuine commitment to upholding justice and accountability. The incident can be a catalyst for the police force on a wider scale to undertake comprehensive reforms and initiative that should be implemented to address systemic issues within the force and promote greater transparency, accountability, and community engagement. One crucial aspect of this process is the revision and reinforcement of police standing operation procedures, SOP, to prevent future instances of misconduct and abuse of power. Clear guidelines and protocols must be established regarding the use of force, the treatment of detainees, and the handling of sensitive situations. Police should on a regular basis be engaged in training programs and workshops to provide police officers with the opportunity to enhance their awareness of human rights, crucial sensitive and crucial cultural sensitivity, and conflict resolution techniques. There's another paragraph I'm not going to go into, but that is what the Member of Parliament, Mr. Figueroa, wrote today. Now, before I go any further, I don't want to dominate this aspect. I will bring in my colleague, Mr. Conway, to make his comment. He saw the video as well. He read the letters and that I referenced a while ago. And let's hear his take on this matter. Mr. Conway, let me hear what you have to say about this. What we saw there, the actions of the police around this man. I'm thinking about 6, 7 policemen. One man clearly, at least I saw one kick. I don't know how many more there were. And people say all kind of things. What are your views, my brother?
I saw the clip. I read the letter into these people, and from the face of it, I got the impression that police really cannot justify the kind of action. The cameras don't lie. There was it, a policeman in uniform, surrounded by a whole set of other policemen and kicking a man who's on the ground. But the use of force, Paul, and what's been happening over the past year or so, that we've seen in the press with the use of force by members of the force is alarming. And I have to go back to my notes because I used to teach use of force to both junior and senior policemen. And I must admit that the use of force is a necessary part of the policing job. But determining what is reasonable is highly subjective. And I read a bit about the International Association of Chiefs of Police. International Association of Chiefs of Police. I don't know why the Guyana Police Force isn't a member of that association. They're jumping all over the place. They're getting to Nation University. They're getting to Cyril Potter College, and they said, they are the academy. But people like the International Association of Chiefs of Police, they must deal with them, apply and become a member. And here's what it said about force. They said force is the amount of effort required to compel compliance from an unwilling subject. This includes physical, chemical, impact, electronic, and firearm force. Let me go over it. Amount of effort required to compel compliance from an unwilling subject. This includes physical, chemical, impact, electronic, and firearm force. And this is from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And when we're dealing with force, there's a case, American case, Graham versus Connor, 1989, where the court held that the calculus of reasonableness must embody allowance for the fact that police officers are often forced to make split-second judgments in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving about the amount of force necessary in a particular situation. The standard, according to this decision, is the reasonably objective officer. The reasonably objective officer. And going back to the same International Association of Chiefs of Police, they're saying force should be used only when the greatest restraint. Force should be used only with the greatest restraint and only after discussions, negotiations, and persuasions have been found to be inappropriate or ineffective. While the use of force is occasionally unavoidable, every officer must refrain from applying the unnecessary infliction of pain or suffering and will never engage in cruel, degrading, or inhuman treatment to any person. To any person. And when you're going to use force, there's a use of force expert, Norwicki, and he talked about the use of force. He said there are 3 rules relating to the use of force. Very, very interesting. Rule number 1 is that you go home the same way when you went to work, alive. You go home the same way as when you went to work, alive. Rule number two is that you don't go to prison, that you go to prison. And rule number 3 is that you keep your job. And he went on to say, if your use of force is reasonable, you protect yourself, your agency, the community, and even the assailant. But when in doubt, remember rule number 1. And rule number 1 say, you go home the same way as when you went to work, alive. Very, very interesting. And I like to, for the sake of emphasis, let me go over those 3 rules that he mentioned. 3 rules. The rule number 1 is that you go home the same way as when you went to work, alive. Rule number 2, you keep your job. And rule number 3 is that you don't go to prison. And he also saying is that if your use of force is reasonable, you protect yourself, your agency, the community, and even the assailant. But when in doubt, remember rule number 1. You go home the same way as when you went to work, alive. So it boils down to reasonableness. It boils down to reasonableness. And to go back to the landmark case, it said the calculus of reasonableness must embody allowance for the fact that police officers are often forced to make split-second judgments in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving about the amount of force necessary in a particular situation. And the standard, according to that person, is the reasonable objective officer. And apart from these rules, what I mentioned, what should be embedded in the minds of the police is that they need to do a lot of training in anger management. They need to do conflict resolution. Do you resolve conflict through the barrel of a gun? Anger management, conflict resolution, and things like self-esteem are critical training programs for all members of the force from top to bottom. I said before in the opening that it is important that use of force is an important part of the policing job. What is how we use it? And there's where the reasonably objective officer come into play. I don't have all the facts with the case, but what I saw on tape, the police don't look good at all there. The police don't look good at all.
Well said, my brother. Let me add to that to say, when we talk about use of force, or we talk about use of force, including deadly force, the police are authorized to use force, including deadly force, in certain circumstances. And it requires justification. The problem that we have is that apparently and proper training is not done. Because when you look at the release that the police gave, they said that this man went to the police station to inquire about his DJ who was arrested. And the police ordered him out of the station. So the first question I have to ask, why? Why a person who goes into the station to inquire about someone who has been arrested is ordered out of the police station? What justification there is for that? Then they went on in one of the things to say, the man behaved disorderly. Well, if he behaved disorderly, he should be arrested. If he behaved disorderly in the police station, after warning, I would think, he should be arrested. But the release that is given and the sequence of offense that is narrated by the police leaves a lot of questions to be asked. I am saying that if the man went to the police, he has a right, first of all. Anyone has a right to go to the police station to make inquiries about anything, including an employee who would have been arrested. All right? Let's assume the man became a little loud. He ought to be warned to desist from such behavior. And if he continues, then he should be arrested. But we note that in this case, then the man at that early stage, the man behaved bad in the station, no attempt, according to what they're saying, no attempt to arrest him. He's ordered out of the police station. And then this confrontation outside in the police compound. So this whole thing looks very, very bad. The whole thing looks bad. And, you know, the Member of Parliament is calling for an independent investigation. Police said the Office of Professional Responsibility will be conducting an investigation. Well, that is the default position. Once an allegation is made, they will tell you that the Office of Professional Responsibility will investigate. But you don't hear anything further. You do not hear anything further about those many, many investigations that the police would have released. The acting commissioner, the extended squad would have said, OPR going to investigate. You don't hear anything further. So people lack confidence in that office investigating a matter of this nature. Some people say, well, it's police investigating police. I have no problem with police investigating police, because the older policemen here will tell you long ago, that is what it was, even before the establishment of the Office of Professional Responsibility. If a policeman is alleged to have committed an offense, you had some people come to, police will investigate, and the person being investigated was very fearful, because you know that when a men come, Daddy Alec and Super Panic, no? And people like Ignatius McCrae and them men born and gentle, and those people, when they have to investigate you because of some allegation, you are fearful, because you know a proper investigation will be done, and if you're found liable, you can either end up getting charged departmentally or criminally. But now there is no such confidence in the system. But Mr. Frigeri is calling for an independent investigation to be conducted. Mr. Member of Parliament, I would tell you that that ain't gonna happen. Not in this Guyana that we live in. This place is not a real place. Not in this animal farm. There will be no independent investigation. You're calling for people, independent oversight body comprising impartial experts and, if possible, community representatives should be tasked with conducting a thorough and transparent inquiry into this matter. The word transparency or transparent has fallen out of the dictionary in Guyana. There is no transparency any longer. The OPR will do whatever I have to do, and they say the policeman is under the one, I guess they say the one policeman, police rank, they say rank. That is what the release said, police rank under close arrest. So I suspect is the one person, perhaps the one person who was seen kicking this man when he was on the ground, he was under arrest. But I'm telling you, of any proper investigation, is not only this one man, all those who are there. Because as policemen, you have a responsibility, if your colleague is doing something wrong, to step in and to try to correct the wrong. All of them are in some way culpable. If you just stood around and you saw that and you did not do anything, you are culpable as well. And I know this, what can happen now, it's falling and covered down, you know. It's falling and covered down. So PR can investigate, and they can come up with a narrative as to what transpired. This man assault people. And I am sure, saying this here now, they're going to also falsify the records and so on. All what they're talking about, I am sure you can get entries in the occurrence book, entries in the station diary, entry in the crime book. No entry in there to support this. And if any entry is there now, check. Check the backdated work. That is the problem you have. That is a big part of the problem. And he talks about training. Let me address that. He talks about training. And he said you abuse, he talked about human rights. The Chief Justice had to pronounce on that in the Tamika Clark case, where Christian Romano, a superintendent at Soku, arrested the lawyer for advising her client not to give a statement to the police. The Chief Justice had to order all members of the force to be trained in specific sections of the Constitution dealing with human rights. I know what they did. And the Chief Justice order said there should be a public commitment. And they gave a statement, basically say, we're doing this all the time. But as you say, we should make a public commitment. We are making a public commitment. It was a ridiculous statement, a contemptuous statement from the police, and nothing has happened. And that is why these things are going to continue. These incidents are going to continue. And Mr. Figueroa speaks about the SOP. He said one crucial aspect of this process is the revision and reinforcement of the police standard operational procedure to prevent future instances of misconduct and the abuse of power. Clear guidelines and protocols must be established regarding the use of force, the treatment of detainees, and the handling of sensitive situations. Well, Mr. MP, the police have standing orders dealing with all of these things. Specifically, as it relates to the dealing of prisoners or persons in custody, there is Standing Order 73. Standing Order 73 comprehensively addresses this issue. And here, let me read a part of it. Standing Order 73, 73C, that's a part of 73C, says, you make an arrest as quietly as possible. Treat the prisoner with consideration. If he has been previously convicted, do not allude to that fact. Let me read it back. Standing Order 73, 73C. Make the arrest, if you have to arrest the person, they say you must make the arrest as quietly as possible. Treat the prisoner with consideration. And then it goes on to say, if he has been previously convicted, do not allude to that fact. And here what Standing Order 73D says. An arrest is an exercise of force. Intimate this by taking hold of the person's arm or in some way restraining his liberty. But no more force is to be used than is necessary to prevent him from escaping. And here what the Standing Order says. This is what the Standing Order 73 says. There must be no rough treatment or beating up of prisoners. And then it goes on to say, nothing gives a worse impression to the public than seeing persons being roughly handled by the police. All reasonable force may be used when necessary, when arresting a person, but the minimum force necessary to restrain the person is all that is required, and in most cases, no force at all is necessary. That is Standing Order. So, Mr. MP, and for the student, the Standing Order addresses this issue, that particular Standing Order 73. But then the question is, are these things we taught? That is the question. It's about teaching, it's about training. And I dare say that once a person leaves training school these days with very limited training, very limited, because Mr. Connie will tell you that the quality of the instruction, the quality of the training now is poor, right? But when people leave, there is no routine, regular training in the field or at the stations. Back in the day, every weekend, every Saturday, instruction classes on specific subjects, care and custody of prisoner, and all of these things. How you do the station diary, and so many issues were taught, were reinforced. Them things don't happen now. So you have a rank, the ranks go out there, and that is a problem. That is a problem. You don't have ongoing training. And I'm sure the Chief Justice ordered training in human rights. And they said, well, we're doing this. Check the records to see how many such training sessions were held from the time this order was made to the current day. It don't happen. And when you say these things, I believe you're attacking the organ. You're not attacking. You're highlighting these issues, because if you don't train these people in these things, this is the type of reaction you're going to get. Because one struggles to think that properly trained, well-trained policemen would be part of what we saw on that viral video. And I continue to say that incidents like these, last Monday we showed the one with the policewoman who broke up this car and behaved in a most disrespectful, disagreeable, criminal manner. One, now you have policemen kicking a man in the police compound. Incidents like these erode all the efforts you would have made at public relations, and you're going out, you have outreaches, you're meeting with members of the public, you're sharing ample. These incidents erode those things. And the fact that people lack confidence that you are going to conduct a thorough and proper investigation only make the matters worse. People believe it's a cover-up from the beginning. A lot of people believe there will be a cover-up from the beginning. You have no credibility. And something has to be done to try to restore the credibility. When you have these incidents, you have to deal with them swiftly and condignly. Yeah, due process. All are entitled to due process, including the policeman who's alleged to have kicked this man, and all those who are there. They're entitled to due process. But whatever punishment, if any, is to be meted out, must be swift, must be appropriate. That is the only way you're going to start to correct these egregious acts. And I say before I bring in Mr. Conway that policemen nowadays have not been taught how to police communities in the days of the cell phone camera. That is a problem, you know. Maybe, and let me tell you this, a lot of these things, perhaps not so egregious, but you had a lot of incidents in the past. A lot of incidents, I have no doubt about that. But you hadn't cell phone to record these things. And as I indicated earlier, you had some policemen that people feared because they know they would have done a proper investigation. But in these days of cell phone, where as soon as something happens, if there's an accident, a person can be dying before someone seeks to render forsake and to save the life, out goes the phone to start recording. That is the culture we live in, perhaps not only in Guyana. That is the culture. And policemen, in particular, have not been taught how to police communities in the days of the video, of the cell phone and video recording and CCTV cameras, where almost everything is captured. And as Mr. Conway said, a video is worth perhaps 1,000,000 words. So how do you dispute what is shown on the video? And again, you're going to come with some explanation. And having regards to what people say, you tell them, don't believe your lying eyes. We saw what took place. How do you justify that? And any attempt to justify that only erode your credibility even further. I have said a lot. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. Mr. Conway.
Yeah, I said from the inception that the use of force is a necessary part of policing, that sometimes you have to use force, but the reasonableness or the objective officer. And there are several use of force models, plenty. But the one that I really like is the one that is used by the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. This is in the United States of America. Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. And it has 5 levels. And bear with me, let me go through them one by one. Level 1 is a compliant level, where no use of force is usually reasonable. Okay. Level 2 is the resistive or passive level, where the subject does not follow the officer's command. Force options here include guiding or directing the subject through hands-on techniques. Level 3, it is a resistive or active level, which occurs when the suspect actively resists arrest. Level 3 force options include joint manipulation or restraints, leverage techniques, pressure points, pepper spray with a warning given force under proper circumstances. Level 4 is the assaultive bodily harm level, a direct physical attack on an officer or others. Appropriate force options at this level include strikes with the hands, fists, elbows, or knees, button strike, and forcefully directing the subject to the ground. And this one is level 5, is the assaultive, serious bodily harm or death level, where the appropriate response would be deadly force. So this model talk about five levels. 1, the compliant level. 2, the resistive passive level. 3, the resistive actual level. 4, the assaultive bodily harm level. And 5 is the assaultive serious bodily harm level. So there are various levels that you need to use in order to use force. But the thing is that the action has got to be reasonable. And I know that sometimes the things will be fluid. The thing keep evolving all the time. So you got to be a very reasonably objective officer. And reasonableness is the key in all these things there. So according to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, there are 5 levels that you can utilize in the use of force.
Well said. And I put up a comment from one of the students there, because he's correct. When I said all those who were there are somewhere culpable, a proper investigation will show what role they played. Because even if you did not cough, if you did not kick, you stood wrong. What did you do? You have a responsibility to intervene. And the student is reminding us what took place with the George Floyd incident. All of those officers, not only the one who kneeled on George Floyd neck causing his death, but those who stood around were also charged and convicted. So policemen have to be taught these type of things. They have to be taught this. And let me go on to say that this incident should be one where the police should understand that there is a need to employ less than lethal force. The police force is about time. The government run around and the Minister of Home Affairs, they're jumping around, they're doing all kind of thing. But it's time they use less than lethal force. And what I'm talking about here, it is time policemen on duty, you get pepper spray. Someone would have thought in an incident where a person is belligerent and fighting back, you can use pepper spray. You can use taser. You use taser. Back in the day, we had baton. That too is something that can be used. You don't see policemen on the duty now with baton. You see policemen with a firearm, whether a pistol, a shotgun, or a rifle. In other words, when they're confronted with situation now, there's no build up to use a bottle, use pepper spray, and perhaps taser before you go into lethal force. And these things are important. These things are important, and that is where the people who sit in the hierarchy of the force have to come up and make these proposals so the necessary equipment can be provided and the training can be done. Recently they talk about body cameras. Yeah, body cameras are going to be good, but less than lethal force so that the police on the beat can defend him or herself. When a man attack you, you get pepper spray you can use, or you get taser, or you can use and other chemical agents. There are many, many less than lethal forces out there. And it is surprising, perhaps not, that the police force that talk about modernization and all of that, still do not, the ranks going on duty, do not have these things to defend themselves with. So perhaps they can use this incident from at Linden to make sure that those things are now acquired. And again, if you acquire them, the ranks have to be properly trained. You have to have proper SOPs to deal with these things. We talked about SOPs when they talk about the body cameras, and we say implementing body cameras without having proper SOPs, and you're putting the cart before the horse. Similarly, if you're going to bring these things in and you don't have proper procedures laid out, written procedures, people trained in these procedures, how to use them, you are going to end up in problems again. And I think that is all we want to say at this time on that matter. And we look to see what becomes of this investigation that has been ordered. Now, before I go any further, I omitted to mention one at the beginning when we talk about deaths, obituaries. It came to attention yesterday or day before yesterday that retired Justice George Pompey, retired Judge George Pompey died recently. He was 97. It slipped me to mention it earlier, and someone had to remind me. Well, not remind me, someone informed me that Justice Pompey passed away at 97. And I want to, on behalf of all the students, express condolences to his relatives and friends and other members of the, retired judges and all the persons of the bar and the bench. Condolences on the passing of Justice George Pompey. Now, I'm sure Mr. Conway would want to express condolences as well, so let me give him that opportunity.
Yes, I would, because I know him well, you know. He was my friend. He was my friend. A very good, sound judge, a very formal judge, and I think he was very fearless too. Wasn't afraid, you know, to make certain serious decisions. So to his relatives, his friends, his family, my deepest sympathy.
Well, nowadays, when you're fearless and you make decisions, you're referred to as presumptuous. So perhaps you want to say that he was a presumptuous judge, that he made decisions based on the law. And when you make decisions based on the law, now you're referred to as being presumptuous. One student is asking, what is a taser? Now, Google it. What taser is is an electronic device which emits, or what happens, you shoot the person with a taser, and some wire thing come out, and an electric charge is directed to the person. So now you shock them. You shock them with this electric charge from the taser. It's a very popular instrument around. You see police walk around with it. They get a gun in the U.S. in particular, many states. They have the firearm on one side, and most time a brightly orange or yellow, some color like that. On the other side, that is a taser they are carrying there. Now, let me say there's another matter that I want to discuss. This might perhaps take up a lot of the program this morning. But before I even say anything, I'm going to play the video. Then I want to play two videos. I'm going to play two videos, so bear with us. One video is about 6 minutes. I don't know if you're going to play the whole thing, but I think it's important for us to play that, for you to get an understanding as to what we're going to discuss. Basically, we're discussing next, this matter where the DPP decided to discontinue the proceedings against a businessman. This is a businessman in the Essequibo Coast who was charged with discharging his firearm. He injured some persons, and the DPP decided to discontinue the proceedings. Now, I'm going to show you first a clip of the incident that was recorded as it was unfolding. Look at this. Look at this.
Blocking the access, we can't get to work. The biology loader is Mohammed Fawaz Bacchus. These are Alican's representative and agents.
All right, you saw the part. There's a long video. I don't want to bore you with all the rest, but what you saw there, I'm going to read the thing. I'm going to show you another video. But let me read what it is. No, let me show you the other video first, and then I'm going to read exactly what transpires. This other video is a news clip, and you get a better sense as to what transpired there.
The Director of Public Prosecutions, Shalimar Ali Haq, Senior Counsel, has written to Magistrate Tamika Clark, attached to the Saudi Magistrate Court, indicating that she should discontinue the discharging of a loaded firearm with intent charge against businessman Mohammed Fawaz Bacchus. In a letter dated April 22nd and seen by this newscast, the DPP letter indicated that she was exercising the power conferred on her under Article 187(1)(c) of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. That incident occurred at Fairfield, Essequibo Coast on May 10th last year and was caught on video. It reportedly stemmed from a land dispute. The businessman was arrested and his licensed firearm was seized and lodged. There are reports that 3 males and a female were transported to the hospital with suspected gunshot injuries. The question was asked to the Communications Department of the Guyana Police Force to verify the information, but up to press time, no response was provided.
Right, so you have that. Let me now read what they, and this is yesterday's Stabrook News. Let me read it yesterday, Stabrook News. The Director of Public Prosecution, Shalimar Aliak, SC, last week discontinued the charge of discharging a loaded firearm with intent against businessman Mohammed Fawaz Bakas, who last year had allegedly fired at a man, his son, and his daughter-in-law. Public Relations Officer of the DPP's office, Liz Rahman, confirmed to Stabrook News yesterday that the DPP discontinued the matter, adding that it was based on the facts of the case. A letter written on April the 22nd by the DPP and addressed to Saudi Magistrate Tamika Clark, and which was seen by this newspaper, stated that in exercise of the powers conferred on her by Article 187(1)(c) of the Constitution, she had discontinued the matter. Last year, May, this newspaper had reported that an age-old unresolved land issue resulted in the shooting incident at Fairfield Region 2 that left 3 persons injured, and the alleged shooter Bakas was taken into police custody. Rupchand Maharaj, his son Satan Maharaj, and his daughter-in-law Rajkumari Raghobir of Legwan were all shot and had to seek medical attention, this newspaper had reported. At the time, Rupchand Maharaj had said that he went to Fairfield where he had several pieces of equipment parked, along with his son and his daughter-in-law. Rupchand Maharaj is a contractor and has projects ongoing in Region 2. The area he had to access had been in dispute, he had related, since 2 other contractors were claiming it as their land. The issue also attracted the attention of the Regional 2 administration and the Good Hope Ponoma Neighborhood Democratic Council. The officials had met all the major stakeholders, he had said, and explained to them that everyone would have to access to the area. Officers from the Guyana Lands and Survey Commission had also reportedly visited the area and surveyed the access pathway and found it was on the government's reserve. However, a miller had blocked the entrance, preventing people from using the pathway. The parties were advised to clear the area so anyone could have access. At the time of the incident, Murad had said, with the pathway still blocked, his daughter-in-law went on Facebook. During a live video, the gunman fired almost 6 shots towards the family. In the video, Raghobir could be heard screaming and crying. The trio was rushed to the Saudi hospital where they were treated and kept under observation. The .32 pistol, which was fired, was seized from the shooter at the time, and he was arrested. So there's the case. The DPP decided to discontinue the case. And let me show you what the letter says. I'm going to read it to you, but I'm going to put it up. I don't know if you can read it properly when it goes up. This is what the letter from the DPP to the magistrate says, and it is, as the Stabrook News said, it is dated the 22nd of April 2024, addressed to our worship, Mr. Mita Clark, Magistrate, Saudi Magistrate Court, Essequibo. Dear Magistrate, and the caption is, Re-Police versus Mohammed Fawaz Bakas for the offense of discharging a loaded firearm with intent, case jacket number 674/2023. In exercise of the powers conferred in me in Article 187(c) of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, I hereby discontinue the charge in the above matter. Yours sincerely, Shalimar Aliak, SC, Director of Public Prosecutions, and this is carbon copy to the Commissioner of Police. That's it. That's it. And I looked at Article 187(c), and let me read what 187(c) says. 187(c) says, bear with me, let me find it. 187(c), it says 187(1) 187(1)(c) of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Ghana states that the DPP has, and I quote here, the powers to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by him or any other person or authority. So quite clearly, based on 187(1)(c), the DPP has the authority to discontinue the matter which he sought to do. But, you know, several questions are asked. Several questions. And one of the questions that is asked, quite a logical question, how was this person charged in the first place? We saw the incident. You can't tell us not to believe our eyes. We saw the shooting, and not only now, since before. This man is alleged to have fired about 6 rounds. We heard the rounds. We heard the woman screaming, saying that she was shot. We saw the video with her bleeding. So, and it's alleged that this is the man who fired his licensed firearm and injured these persons. An investigation, they said, was done. The man was arrested, his firearm seized. I would expect that a crime file would have been prepared and sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions. They would have perused this file, and based on the evidence in this file, they would have instructed or advised or guided the police, recommended to the police that the charge of discharging a loaded firearm with intent should be instituted, and that was done. That was since last year. This incident occurred. I don't know when the charge was instituted. But then out of the blues, the DPP writes to the magistrate to say that this matter should be discontinued. No explanation is given. I know they're going to say the Constitution doesn't require any explanation to be given, but no explanation, just discontinue. Arbitrary, I would say arbitrary use of power. Arbitrary, discontinue, and the matter is discontinued. The next question I want to find out, what has become of the firearm that this man used, that the police said that they seized? One would have expected at the time of seizure, they would have done the ballistic test and all of that, and they would have had the ballistic evidence. And I said before, and I'm repeating it for emphasis of the police I command and all police ranks, the DPP has absolutely no authority to instruct you that that firearm or any other firearm involved in any incident should be returned to the person. None whatsoever. There is no law saying that. That is clearly on the purview of the police. Police have to make that determination. And the Firearm Act spells out if the person, well, there's a process if you want to revoke the firearm license, which in this case I believe should have happened. At least steps should have been taken. For the time you seize the firearm, that person should have been written to show cause why the license in respect of that firearm should not be revoked. And then you go through the process to revoke, and no DPP can instruct you not to do so. So let's understand this clearly. It will be interesting, again, I say, to know what would have happened to the firearm. And given this thing is Region 2, you know, Regional Police Division 2, is headed by this man, Kevrab Shibran. This is the same man who had intervened in the Dharamlal rape and murder allegation, to take a statement from the victim purporting to say that she don't want any further action. The same man. So one, I don't have any real expectation that anything was done, would be done to make sure that this man's firearm is seized. The man has clearly demonstrated he should not be in possession of a licensed firearm. And the DPP intervened. But let me bring you Mr. Conway, and I'll come back and talk some more about this same matter. Please, I'm sure you want to say it before I go on, so let me give it now.
Yeah, according to the Constitution, the DPP has wide-ranging powers. Powers to institute, powers to take over case, apart from court martials, power to discontinue. But I always remember the Henry Green matter, you know, when allegation of rape was made against Commissioner Henry Green. He got wink that, hey, the DPP advised that he be charged. And before they could charge him, he rushed with breakneck speed to the court. And there was Mr. Ian Chang. And Ian Chang said, you, the DPP, have the power You're the supreme person here. And if a crime file comes before you and you feel that there is no case, stop it there. Don't go further. But the impression being created is that sometimes the DPP say, hey, let the magistrate deal with it, or let the judge and jury deal with the matter. If there's things to be queried, as is normally done, send it back to the police to clear up certain things. But if there is no case there, done it there, done the dance there, and then in green case, he and chance say, come and tell me or be represented why you decide that green, why you advise that green must be charged with rape, and that was the board of contention. Why tell this court, convince this court why you decide, why you advise that green should be charged with rape, and the DPP couldn't say why, couldn't convince the Honorable Chief Justice why she had recommended that Henry Green be charged with rape. So the case go down the drain. And here's it. Listen to what you read about the PRO, Lisa Rahman, saying the decision was based on facts of the case. Based on facts of the case. So the same facts saying that the man must be charged. It's the same fact saying that it must be discontinued. What really are we saying? It had to go to the DPP. The DPP decided, hey, enough evidence here. And according to the PRO, facts of the case. So they didn't hear anything but that new facts emerge, new evidence emerge. And as a result of the new evidence that emerged, we decided, hey, that we're gonna we not process being going further with it. There are too many instances where the DPP making decisions and person not challenging them. Challenge her, or she got challenged and it went to CCJ, and CCJ was wrong when she had directed the magistrate to reopen the case when the magistrate had dismissed it. So even if the DPP has the power, the DPP has got to give reasons and give valid reasons why she decided or why she advised that this must be done. And I'm saying, I've said it before again, that it's high time persons challenge the decision of the DPP. For me, many of the decisions by the DPP are political motivated. They're not evidence-based. They are political direction. And a stop must be put to it somewhere. Either you go to the High Court or you go to the CCJ or somewhere and put a stop to it. Put a stop to all these what appear to be clear political decisions not based on evidence.
Now, you said a very interesting thing a while ago. The DPP would have been the one who instructed for charge to be instituted against this man in this manner. Now she decides that the matter should be discontinued. And I fully agree with what you just said. At least say, well, new evidence, in light of new evidence that has come to light, I am deciding that this matter should not go forward. But just to say, as she did in the letter, I hereby discontinue the charge in this above matter. I hereby discontinue. I am of the view, I'm no liar, but like you see, I believe that these things have to be challenged. In the case of the Marcus Bisram case, where the DPP instructed the magistrate who had done a preliminary inquiry and had found that there was no case, no prima facie case for Bisram to answer, and he discharged the matter. The DPP, she had the power under the criminal act, the Criminal Procedure Act, to order the matter to be open, to magistrate to reopen, and for the person to be committed. And she did so. And that was challenged all the way to the CCJ. And the CCJ found that that was in conflict with the Constitution, the separation of powers, that the DPP can't intervene to instruct a magistrate like that. And what they say, as a result of that, the law was changed. And if such a situation occurs now, where the magistrate discharges a matter, the DPP has to go to the court, has to go to the High Court, as she did in the Winston Jordan case. Go to the High Court and let the High Court decide whether this matter should be reopened or not. She did so with Winston Jordan, remember? But the big difference here is that she had that authority under the Criminal Law Procedure Act. This one now is under 187(1)(c) of the Constitution. And I believe, and I know lawyers listen to this program, that it is time that it is challenged. It is also time that the advocate, I know there's a constitutional review committee going on, that those things can be changed. It should be changed because it clearly shows now, in many of these cases, we have a DPP who is making decisions that can be determined to be irrational. And the DPP is not explaining, giving some type of proper explanation to the public. And I think the law or the Constitution as it is should indicate that in such a case, some proper explanation so that we can know what are the reasons. In the absence of that, the public is left in the blind. People making all sort of comment about the religious affiliation of these people and all sort of comment. And this is not an isolated case. This is not an isolated case where this person is charged or persons of a certain religious persuasion are charged, and then here the matter is discontinued. You're hearing that these matters are discontinued. I'm saying that it is time that these things are challenged. I will hope that some lawyer or a group of lawyers will take up these things. That is the only way the law can evolve. To sit there quietly and accept these things is not going to work. If that matter wasn't challenged, the Marcus Bishram matter wasn't challenged all the way to the CCJ, you would not have had this evolution that has taken place with this particular section of the Criminal Law Procedure Act. You would not have had that. And therefore, it behoves the legal fraternity to challenge these things. And let's get proper ruling as to how this even you know the letter of the Constitution says that you can. I don't think that is the spirit, and this is from a layman. I don't think the spirit of the writers or the framers of the Constitution intended for somebody to just arbitrarily say stop this matter, and the matter stopped. I would have thought that the framers would have expected some explanation as to why this particular action is taken, and in some cases why a particular action is not taken. That is my view. That is why these things have to be challenged. These things have to be challenged, and I hope that these liars, I don't call the name, but I know they listen, and if they don't listen, I know people will tell them. I know people will tell them, and you all got to find some backbone and make sure these things are challenged. These things are occurring too frequently. And let me tell you this. I joined the force in 1973. I retired in 2010. They have had several directors of public prosecution. I remember when I joined, it might have been Emmanuel Ramon. You had, for some time, Chan. You had George Jackman. You had Bismarck Anneman. You had, I think, the same current Chief Justice acting George. You had all of these people sitting in that same office. And I can never recall, I cannot recall the amount of controversies associated with that office during those times as there is now. Many, many. Dharamlal is one of the most egregious, right? Not to charge. And there are several others. Talking about the president, the current president, 19 fraud charges discontinued. The Attorney General discontinued. Ashni Singh, Brassington, all of these things discontinued. And on the one hand, while you're discontinuing on that one side, you are recommended charges against certain other people when there's absolutely no evidence. And it's not me saying so, it's the court have been saying that. On December the 27th last, the magistrate in Court 3 made the point when she dismissed the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud that there was, she said, to use her word, there was not an iota of evidence against the defendants, of which I was one, not an iota. There are matters that went to the High Court, all the way to the High Court, and judges have remarked that there's no evidence in this case. And in the case I referenced, there was discharged on the 27th of December, a lawyer who represented some of the defendants had to remark publicly that he cannot understand that anyone who had any type of legal training would have seen that file and recommended criminal charge. This office is so controversial now. The office of the DPP I'm talking about, and I'm talking about the office because you have the DPP and you have several officers there with her. Well, none of them have seen these things. People just sit back and decide you're going to collect the salary. What happened to your credibility? What happened to your credibility? What happened to the professional oath that you would have taken? All of these things just gone through the window for expediency. Something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Again, I say, I call on the lawyers to challenge these things in court, and let's get a ruling. Even if it has to go all the way to the DPP, let it go there and let us hear what is happening. Let us hear. And let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. Mr. Conway, I'm sure you'd want to give a wrap-up on this particular, what I call an egregious matter by the DPP, and we're going to move on to the next subject.
Yeah, there are too many cases, where the DPP would advise and matter finish, no case submission in the magistrate court, no case submission in the High Court, And I'm repeating what's saying, going back to Ian Chang. Ian Chang, the Honorable Chief Justice Acting Chief Justice, say that you are the supreme authority. And if there's no case there, stop it. Done the dance there. Done the dance there. If there are things to be queried, yes, you query. But just don't send a file as it appears to be done. Don't send a case for a magistrate to decide when there's no evidence. Don't send a case for the judge and jury to decide when there's no evidence. You got to be firm enough. You are the supreme authority in this matter there. Done the dance early. Finish it. But no, most of them they are politically motivated, or at times I suspect can be religious motivated. And the whole thing making a mockery in terms of the rule of law, man.
The rule of law, that's such an important concept. The rule of law. But when you get a DPP who sits there, and these things are, you don't have to be a lawyer to recognize these things, These things are so plain, the ordinary layman. And once officers like that, let me understand this thing clearly. Once these actions are taken and the officers are brought, in my estimation, into disrepute, people lose faith in the system. People lose faith in the system, and that is the last thing you want. You want people to make sure that they have faith in the system, that the matters are going to be properly investigated. The legal people of the DPP will decide on the matter based on evidence and facts, and that. Not based on whether you are a businessman, whether you are a minister, whether what religious organization you subscribe to. That should not come into the equation at all. But unfortunately, with many of these incidents, those are the questions that are being asked. It seems to be motivated. These decisions seem to be motivated by those extraneous factors. And it breaks down the whole system. And you don't want that, because people are going to decide that the best thing to do is to take the law into their own hands. You do not want that in a society. Society, you want these institutions to function to the satisfaction of the right thinking person. And I say right thinking because many people, no matter whatever you do, are not going to be satisfied. You can't please everyone. But the rational, right thinking person will realize, well, yes, even when they're charged, they're going to realize, yeah, there's reason behind this thing. I'm going to go and I'm going to fight the case and so on. But when there's absolutely no evidence and people are charged and put before the court, they have to wait a long time before they get justice. And they say justice delayed is justice denied. I'm experiencing that right now. 3 years and counting, and the matter can't even get to trial. Justice delayed. Justice delayed, it brings the system, it brings the institutions into question and disrepute. But let me move on. Let me move on. And the next thing that I want to deal with here quickly, talking about justice delayed, a couple of weeks ago, we read, let me make sure I get this thing here right. We read a while ago that the policeman who was charged, Eastman his name, he was charged with this saga murder. Again, the DPP's chamber. This man was charged, I think, in 2017 with murder. Policeman Eastman, Darwin, I think was his name. Charged with murder in the saga, Godfrey Scipio, known as Saga. Used to be a popular man by the Bobby's car park. He was murdered, I think, 2023. He was murdered. This policeman, this highly decorated policeman, Eastman, I said decorated because the man won divisional best cop, police best cop, and all sort of thing. Highly decorated, was charged with this murder. And to my shock and astonishment, sometime last month, this is in May, I think it's last month, or it might have been the month before, the DPP decided to discontinue this proceedings. This is after this man spent about six years on remand. Policeman, about 6 years on remand, the DPP decided to discontinue the proceedings. And I asked the question, I asked him this question. Now that the matter has been discontinued, man is not convicted, the man was interdicted and was on half pay, I presume. What happens now? Legally, the man should be reinstated in the police force. The man should be reinstated, which requires him getting all the 6 years plus half pay, because he would have been interdicted and placed on half pay. And therefore, if you're going to reinstate him, as you should legally, you got to pay all 6 year half pay. It's enough money the man get together, but there's not enough. You can't restore the 6 years that man lost under remand. I don't know if he has a family and all of that, but you could imagine the trauma a policeman would have undergone and would have suffered 6 years in remand for a murder that, according to the DPP, he did not commit. 6 years. And let me say this to the policeman, if it is that he is reinstated. The reinstate you, take your money, all the money you have to get, even if you're not reinstated, all the half pay you have to get. Take your money, and perhaps you'd want to consult with a good attorney. You would want to consult with an attorney to decide on the way forward. So even if they reinstate you, just take reinstatement and jump back in the system. Consult with an attorney, because the DPP is saying that you should not have been charged in the first place. That is how I read it. You were charged a murder, 6 years plus on remand, and now the DPP decided to discontinue the charge. You should be reinstated in the force, paid the half pay for 6 years that you rightly deserve. But having done that, if you are reinstated, consult with a lawyer. Consult somebody saying that he has been reinstated. I don't know that for sure. But if it is that you are reinstated, my brother, consult with a lawyer. Because no reinstatement and no half pay for that 6 years can compensate for the suffering, mental and other suffering, that you and your family would have gone through. No half pay. These things have to be taken to court. That is malicious prosecution. That is what they are saying. They prosecuted you when according to the DPP. Because the only thing, even though no explanation was given, they just discontinue again. But one can assume, therefore, that they don't have any evidence. Because remember, this is not a case, and in the last one we mentioned, this is a case that went through the system, the man charged, preliminary inquiry, all them type of suffering, lawyer fee, mental suffering, mental anguish, physical suffering in prison for 6 years. And then they decide, don't proceed with this matter any further. Don't decide, don't, and if it is that you're reinstated, say, talk to a lawyer. Talk to a lawyer. This should not be taken like that. These things have got to be challenged and you need to, they have to compensate you. I mean, they can't restore all that you have lost and so on, but financial compensation can be a measure in trying to restore some of the dignity, some of the things that you have lost, compensate for all the suffering, mental and other suffering that you have gone through all those years. Now, somebody say, yes, he get reinstated and he did the TSU. That's what. See, let me hear you on that.
That's good advice. Because he must have gone through many emotional, mental, physical, financial, and other things. He must have gone through that. You think it's fun for the lockdown for 5, 6 years of one offense you didn't commit? I agree. I mean, if I've been in a position, I don't decide what I got to do already. I don't see me lawyer, and you give him good advice, Paul. Very excellent advice, and I give him the same advice because I know him well, and if I see him, I recommend him to go to the CID based on his performance whilst he was a trainee, and if I see him again, I tell him, hey, find a lawyer and take further steps. But make sure you draw down all the money that you're supposed to draw down.
Yeah, I'm getting on the live here. I'm getting reports that the man was reinstated, and he is at Brickdam. He was reinstated, transferred to Brickdam police station. That is what I am being told by reliable, usually very reliable source. So therefore, Eastman, don't take it easy, my friend. I don't know if you know about this program. Because you've been in prison all them years, you might not know about speaking out. But I'm sure some policeman is going to bring this to your attention and bring this advice to you, what you should do. I know it brings to the same, the issue comes up again with these arbitrary dismissals by the acting commissioner, the extended squatter who sits there now. And this man was interdicted. And let me say quite clearly again, we got to emphasize that the rule of law dictates and the Constitution guarantees the presumption of innocence. And if an allegation is made against a policeman and he is charged, he should be interdicted from duty. Not dismissed as the squatter did in several cases recently. I always refer to the Quindon Bacchus case, where 3 policemen, one charge of murder and 2 some offense related to what took place at the time. The charge. And the same day they appeared in court on July the 5th, 2022, the same day they were dismissed from the force. So there was no presumption of innocence. They dismissed. And the same question comes up, will come out now, a similar question. What happens when or if those persons, the charge against them is dismissed? What happens? You have a similar case in Barbados where 3 young constables were dismissed arbitrarily. No opportunity to, no natural justice for them to be ordered. They weren't charged with anything. An officer lost his firearm. Well, according to the commander, he misplaced his firearm. And the 3 constables are dismissed from the force, and the officer still around. Those things are wrong. I have nothing against the officer. I am commenting on the system. I know the officer. I have nothing personally against him, but I'm commenting on the system. How can you dismiss these people arbitrarily? It's unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional. I suspect if the squatter was there in that position with Eastman, he would have done the same thing. He would have dismissed Eastman as well. These things are wrong. And the Attorney General comments on these things about the money that the government got to pay when these actions are taken. But apparently they're not doing anything for it to rein in the squatter and other people who are just violating persons' rights. You have to take action against these violators. And that is why these things go all the way to the UN human rights, and then they come out and they make nice and abuse and so on. But people are looking on and people are seeing these things and questions are going to be asked. So even though the people in Guyana seems fearful and nobody wants to ask any question, the international community the community is observing these things. And at the appropriate time, I believe questions are going to be asked, such as the time not so long ago when they asked at the UN about all of these killings and no inquiry, including the killing of a serving minister of the government. No commission of inquiry, nothing at all. So let's see what will take place there. Now moving to the next subject. I read a few days ago and it says one shot during robbery of Stevens Waste Management. And the story says on Sunday, April 27, 2024, or Saturday, April 27, 2024, an alleged robbery on arms occurred at Stevens Waste Management located at Aubrey Barker Road, South Rumville, committed on the name, the person, I'm going to call the person's name, an employee of Stevens Waste Management. Inquiries disclosed that on the mentioned date and time, the person was in the office paying salaries to the employees. When two male wearing masks entered the building, one of the suspects drew a firearm from his waist and discharged 2 rounds, one of which hit somebody. They named the person. He's a 33-year-old driver, also employed by Stevens. The suspect then relieved the person of one cell phone worth $200,000 and an undisclosed amount of cash, property of Stevens Waste Management. The suspects exited the building and escaped on a black motorcycle, make and registration number unknown. This matter was reported to the police. The scene was visited and processed. Ranks recovered 2.32 spent shell and a warhead. Same was marked, sealed, and lodged at the police station. The person who injured was escorted. Now, quickly, I want to ask this question because a robbery at this place, even though they're telling you that these incidents are done, and they get operation what I call pie in the sky. They call them eye in the sky, but I call it pie in the sky because you're having murders and all of these things during a joint operation with the Guided Defense Force and the police. During this joint operation, these incidents are occurring and persons are not intercepted. Something is wrong. But it brings me, I have to ask some question. I made some note about this incident. Why is it in this modern age, people got to go to the bank, employers, withdraw large sums of money and paying people in cash? Why in this modern world, this information world, all this technology and gadget, why could you not be paying by checks or direct electronic transfer? I asking this question for all the people who sit back and talk about crime and how to deal with crime. These are some of the things that you should consider. Guyana remains a very cash-oriented society. A man want to go down the road and spend a couple $1 million to buy something. He goes to a bank, he withdraws the money in cash, he puts it in a bag in a car, he drives to the next location. Many times he's robbed. You're becoming targets, you're soft targets, so to speak. One would have thought that a place like Stevens and other establishments would have an arrangement where you pay the people them by check, give them the money by check, or better still, just do an electronic transfer. But we still in this age where people have to get transaction done with a large amount of cash. Things like credit card and so on, only few places still. And you're talking about encouraging tourism, and you're talking about all this development. Tourists not accustomed to walking with cash. People are accustomed to get a credit card and a swipe. That is what they're accustomed to. And unless and until it can be more widely used, you're gonna have problem. People are gonna be forced to be walking around with large sums of cash, relatively large sums of cash, and therefore they become prey to these people who are loitering there to rob them. So I would say that is, and I put that squarely on the blame is squarely on the authorities, because you have to make sure that the system is there to facilitate that. I remember when I was in the force towards the latter years, around 2008, 2009, that time when a decision was taken, we had to take a decision that policemen's salaries will be paid straight into their bank account, and they were required to submit the information, the account, to the police finance office, and they were reluctant to do so. It took a long time. I remember I had to get involved, and we had to tell them, look, don't pay no cash. Do not pay. Let them wait. If they don't submit the account for the money to be paid into the account, They must wait until perhaps a couple of days after payday when you're ready to pay. And eventually, I would think now that has been resolved. People pay the salary straight into the bank account. And we have to have those systems in place to prevent entities from having to go and uplift money at some bank and then to put it in envelope or parcel it out and pay this individual. That is old time nonsense which should be discouraged. Mr. Conway, what are your views on that?
Agree with you totally. I remember when they had introduced the system that you money we pay to the bank. We had a whole. I was an officer then, and we had a whole set of issues with those persons below us. That they want no money in the bank and all kind of story. But in this modern age, can't be walking about the place with cash and them kind of thing. Let the money go to the bank or give them a check. Full stop. Story down there. And then, as you ask, what happened with Eye in the Sky and the robots patrol, the robots law enforcement system? What happened? What happened to those drones that are controlled by the GDF? We don't know whether the capability, whether it's nighttime, daytime. We don't know where the controls are. And then since it was introduced, not a word, not a sentence. And then if it's the joint service operation, we hear anything from the Joint Services Coordinating Council? Just a statement from the police public relations department. What really is going on? What is happening? Eye in the Sky. And what happened to the cameras that we get about the place? The cameras that they quoted the president as saying will replace boots on the ground. And even the cameras, the controls there with the Chinese, the control for them cameras there with the Chinese, not with the police. It didn't. There with the police. So many things going wrong, Paul. I don't know. But I'm saying, going back to the point that they should stop paying with this cash thing. Let the money go to the bank or let it get checks.
I agree. We have a policy on this program. We say we don't necessarily respond to individual comment. But you got a troll just came on, and let me put up what he said. You want to know how many years you spent in the corrupt and I'm getting wealthy in the process. How come you seen it now? Somebody come up as Carlton Hing, and from the picture you can see is a troll. But let me tell you, my brother, in case you could read, go and read and do your research, and you're gonna find out what the two of us did to confront the system and to try to correct the system when we were serving. We ain't gonna tell you that. We ain't blowing our own trumpet now. You go and you check Mr. Troll, and you're gonna find out, right? Check. You see the names. The names that we have here are not fictitious name. Paul Slow is my real name. Clinton Conway is that Mr. Conway's real name. So we encourage you, we invite you to go and check, and you will find out for yourself. Or those who put you up to making this comment, ask them. I don't know if they're going to be honest enough to tell you the truth, but you can do a little research and find out. We welcome people like you too, We welcome trolls like you as well. We welcome trolls like you.
Paul, let me just come in and say, I put person before the court for offering me a bribe, and as an assistant commissioner, I went to court 34 times for the case. 34 times. They wait until I turn up for dismiss the case. 34 times, and the person and go through a rigorous cross-examination, and the person was convicted. So what I say.
Let me tell you, as you're saying that, I served in several divisions. My first command was D. I served in A, I served in B, those three divisions. And check, every division I served in, policemen, dishonest, corrupt policemen were charged, jailed and jailed for corruption. I was personally involved in those operations. So, Mr. Troll, check again. As I say, wheel and come again. As the old people say, you come in the right church, but you're sitting down in the wrong pew. right? You sit it down in the wrong pool. Wheel and come again, my brother. Real. So them who send you, tell them that they sent it to the wrong address. So the records are there. And I am proud to stand by my records. Very proud to stand by. I even took on Jack Dio. Hey, when you talk about incompetence, I took on your Vice President Jack Dio. I took on the former Minister of Affairs Gadraj when they wanted me to get in the corrupt scheme. And I said, no, this ain't working. I took on your current President Irfan Ali when he wanted me as chairman of the Police Service Commission to get involved in what I consider to be corruption to promote persons who are not eligible. So, hey, so again, I say wheel and come. Go and read and come. If you are capable of reading, go and read and come again. But let me move on with this last one. The police I saw, and the time I almost run out, but I think I have enough time to deal with that. Congratulations to the police. They said they acquire a new what they call crime scene vehicle. Let me show you the advertisement, man. Yeah, congratulations on the police acquiring this new piece of equipment here. This crime scene, they say crime scene vehicle. But again, I say it is good to get these equipment and so on. But you have to first make sure you have a proper standing operational procedure, SOP, as to how this thing is to be deployed, how it's to be used, and all of that. I know yesterday, if you look at the post on the social media, Facebook, the comments are brutal, man. Oh, Lord, the people waiting to the police. And even now on this live, they're saying how the thing is going to be broken up, or they're going to break it up in a short while. Some people ask the question, who managing this vehicle? Because the vehicle can't solve nothing by itself. People say they put in the ass before they can. Do you have trained persons to man this vehicle and all that? I don't know, but many of these things are done perhaps with the right intention, but with the wrong sequence of events. Because I would have expected that if you're going to have a crime scene, you say a modern crime scene vehicle, then you got to make sure that even before the vehicle comes, people are identified and trained. Not only the technicians, but drivers and all of these people are trained and how to operate. You have a proper SOP under whose command this vehicle comes under, who can order it deployed. All of those things have to be carefully thought out. or she got to run into problem. But poor Guyana police force, you have people, and many times these things are influenced by politicians. Oh, they bring this thing. Like back in the day when I was there, Mr. Conway, when Henry Green came and told us about a SWAT. The politicians tell he must establish SWAT unit. And I was strongly opposed to the establishment of any SWAT unit. Because I said there was no need for the SWAT unit at that time. Now, wonder what happened to the SWAT unit. Well, I shouldn't ask that. That is rhetorical. Because I understand the Guardian, Minister Homes, and all of those things. That is what they're doing now. That is what was told to me. I don't know how true it is. But that is what is being said. But that happens when these things are not carefully thought out. That is what happens. So you bring your equipment, kudos to whoever, and then the propaganda machine is going to kick in because government goes, so we give the police this equipment and we give the police that equipment. And then they blame when things go wrong, as they will if you don't have proper experience and qualified people to operate these things. Then they're going to blame the police. They say they give you all of this and you're not making use of the equipment. Somebody asked in the chat, what happened to Roy water cannon? Same thing. They're bringing these things just so, and some people say it's part of the old corrupt process. So you got to look to see who got the contract to bring it in, what was the cost and all of that to bring the thing in. Sometimes some friend, family favorite getting the contract. When Roy was there too, he brought in with all the allegations of drug passing through the airport and so on. I remember when they're bringing a bomb sniffing dog. When one would have thought that you would have had K9 to sniff out all of these drugs passing through the airport, they thought it best to bring in a bomb sniffing dog at the time, pay a whole set of money for a bomb. But that's what you have. You have people who are incapable of thinking strategically. They only know how to think to fill the pocket, and that is why we run into these problems. Well, the Canada County Commissioner Cole never worked. They had a demonstration at the National Park, and any LT male will pee further than the water cannon they shoot in the water. We saw it there at the National Park. But let me bring in Mr. Conway to give his closing remarks. We are almost done 2 hours already, and we're going to move on. We're going to close off. Mr. Conway, your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, it's good that they're trying to acquire things, but then I thought they would show it fully loaded. I see all them compartments inside there empty. Nothing inside there, And then persons gotta be trained. You gotta get the SOPs. Well, maybe they making some effort to deal with crime scene because I can't tell last I hear or saw that at a crime scene they found something and link it with a criminal. Not even a piece of fiber here, a shot button or a piece of cloth or something. Don't talk about ballistics. We getting endless amount of shooting, endless amount of spent shells, and not one can be connected that we can get there and say, hey, this gunny fire this one as the case may be. So I don't know who say them. Get a vehicle, get it on display, then you're showing the interior of the vehicle and nothing inside but a whole set of compartment. What equipment you're gonna use, how it's gonna operate, as you mentioned, Paul, who can decide whether they go here or there and who in charge and the whole gamut of things should be in a SOP. But I don't know, total nonsense going on in the place there.
Total nonsense. Now, in closing, something came to my attention. He said, no fear. I think they're to have this this weekend. The People's Progressive Party, Civic, is going to have their Congress, and people complaining because I understand that in order, to facilitate this Congress, the policemen in Regional Division 4C and 4A, that is East Coast and Georgetown, have to be in line. And the people are saying that they have been advised that the reason why they are going to be in line over the weekend when this Congress is going to be held, because they have to perform sentry duties at places where these delegates are going to be staying. That is what is being said. And if that is true, that is outrageous. No consideration for policemen welfare. You get Congress policemen got to be in line. You know why is in line? it means that all of those women, all those men, mothers, and husbands and wives have to stay in the police station 24/7. That is unreasonable. It is unreasonable. But that is the state in which we live, the state of craziness. CC, I'm sure you want to comment on that before I close.
Yeah, I heard, and particularly in 4C, understand a lot of delegates will be stopping somewhere in Better Hope. Vehicles will be in the community center ground, and the police are required. Details have already been made for police to watch this vehicle, guard the places where those persons are stopping. Understand, and as a reaction to it, they're getting quite a number of sick reports. Total nonsense that why they must be guarding the delegates' vehicle, why they must be guarding the place that the delegates stop in. I don't know. I don't know what's really happening, Paul.
Well, that's why it's going on. That's why people are disenchanted. People are demotivated. The morale is very, very low. Folks, this is the end of today's program. We had a long, healthy discussion. I hope you enjoyed it as we did. Just to tell you, looking forward, the next program should have been, note the language, should have been on Monday. But unfortunately, I have other engagements on Monday. And we're not going to have a program on Monday. The next program will be God's willing. Next Wednesday, the 8th of May, will be the next program. In any event, next Monday might be a public holiday. I don't know if it has been announced because the 5th is Sunday, and that is normally a rival day, a public holiday. So it might very well be observed the following day, the 6th. So we're not going to have any program on Monday, not because of that, but because I have other engagements that I can't put off. And therefore, God spare life. We'll see you again next Wednesday for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Until then, we encourage you to stay well, stay safe, and we will see you. Bye.